We have across the country. As a marketing company, we believe in targeting issues. So we decided to take the Just Say No campaign and target it to the neighborhoods and to the families. With that point, we went to our creative department and put together some creative programs and artwork to help deliver that message so that we could target those families and friends and try to bring it to their attention how they can be part of the solution. After developing the artwork, we went back to the governor's office and asked for his support. With those creative ideas, we discovered that the governor's concepts and philosophy were identical to ours, and that his primary concern also was to target the families and the neighborhoods to help fight against drug abuse and against drugs in our neighborhood. We felt that the governor's support was critical to the success of the program, and the leadership role that he played back in his State of State address, and again bringing it to our attention, we asked that he would be part and support the campaign after we submitted the artwork to him. So utilizing our billboards around New York and the boroughs, and the advertising on the inside and the outside of buses throughout Manhattan and the boroughs, we are pleased today to launch an anti-drug campaign to target over 10 million people that live in the boroughs of Manhattan. We trust that the message that we will get out in this effort will touch people and will bring to their attention how drugs are affecting all of our children, all of our neighborhoods, and all of our families, and how it's not just the person that's taking the drugs that is destroying their lives, but that individual is destroying the lives of their children and their wives and their husbands and their neighbors and their friends. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Governor Cuomo for his support, for his leadership in backing this effort and being part of it today. And I would ask Governor Cuomo to join me on the podium to say a few words.
Thank you very much. This, I'm afraid, is a subject that we could talk about for a long, long time. I doubt that in my time in this city and state, which is more than half 100 years, there has ever been a problem as serious as this one. I've grown accustomed over the years to hearing police and politicians say, we're at war with this, we're at war with that. When they say now that we are at war with drugs, they are not exaggerating. I tell you that I go from one coast to the other, California to New York. I go to the Canadian border. I go down to Texas and Florida. Wherever I go, I'm met by a state trooper. That's just the protocol if you happen to be a governor. And whenever I'm met by one of these state police people, I always ask them the same question, wherever I am. Last couple of weeks, I've been in San Jose, California, in Florida. I asked the trooper, state policeman, what's it like with drugs? 3 out of 5 times they'll say something like this, Governor, it is a war and we're losing. You know, not in 200 years has this country had a war exactly like this one. Because, except for the Civil War, you've never lost this many lives on your own land in any war. We're talking about most of a generation. This drug problem is attacking us in every way you can imagine. It is attacking us economically. It's ruining the workforce. The workforce of the 21st century is going to be very, very badly debilitated. We're going to have more competition than ever around the world, and our workforce is going to be weaker because the young people today are vulnerable. They're being destroyed by drugs. It's costing us a fortune. It could bankrupt us. We announced a new prison bill last night. That prison bill, people are cheering all over the state. They say, isn't this great? You're going to build 6,000 more beds. It costs you $110,000 to build one bed. 6,000 more of them, hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you spend $30,000 a year taking care of that bed and the person that's in it in a prison. We've built more prison cells in my time as governor than any governor in the history of the state, maybe the history of the United States. I'm not pleased by that. I'm frightened by it. For how long can you build prisons? You know what the cost is of the whole criminal justice system trying to fight drugs? And that's the least part of the cost. The worst part of the cost is what it's doing to you in human lives. The tragedy of deaths, people crippled, people destroyed, children 12 years old, addicted, 11 years old, alcoholics, 10 years old, caught on crack. A whole generation being destroyed. Crack, never anywhere by anybody has anything as evil as crack been designed. I refer to it as the devil's invention. It must be so cheap that any kid can buy it with the money he steals out of his mother's purse. Can nail you the first time, right? You can be addicted by crack the first time. It's like reaching down inside of you, taking your soul out, and then burning it. That's crack. So it's coming at us from all ways. What do we do about it? Well, the first thing you have to decide as a people and as a society is that nothing can come before your effort to fight drugs every way that you can. You've got to get the federal government to stop it where it's being produced, because we don't produce it in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Queens, in Staten Island, in Brooklyn. We don't produce heroin. We don't produce cocaine. It's produced somewhere else, and we've got to get the federal government to stop them in Bolivia, Colombia, wherever it comes from. Well, they're not doing so well there. After you allow them to grow it and to ship it, you've got to stop it before it gets to our borders. You have to use your Army and your Navy and your Secret Service and your immigration and your FBI and your electronic equipment and your submarines and everything else you have. Lord knows we've spent enough money to keep it from coming to our land, and you're failing there. And once it comes here, you should use your United States attorneys and your marshals and everybody else to arrest the people. And the federal government isn't doing that. Well, what's left? The cops on our beat, our police, who have already had too much to do. They're the ones who are left with the problem. They're the ones who are left with the problem of law enforcement. And so it's our police and our district attorneys and our legal aid and our prisons and our parole and our probation people. And they are swamped. Now let me give you the really bad news. After you do all of that, after you do all the law enforcement, and we're going to lead the country, there is no law enforcement idea we will not do. I'm going from here to another press conference with the Law Enforcement Council to tell this legislature that's about to leave for vacation without doing the assault weapon bill. You know what that is? There are semi-automatic weapons. You know what the AK-47 is? There are weapons out there being used to kill police and everybody else that's innocent. Our legislature is saying they don't want to do that bill because the NRA, the gun lobby, the people who shoot for sport, they're saying, we don't want this bill. We don't want you to take any automatic weapons out of anybody's hands, even if they're being used to kill cops. And we've got legislators up there who are telling the world they're tough guys and gals. They want to give us a death penalty, but they're going to leave these weapons in the hands of criminals to kill policemen and the rest of us because they're afraid of the gun lobby. I'm going to give a speech about that. I'm going to talk about all the drug bills we have that need to be passed, make penalties more severe for anybody who sells drugs to kids within 1,500 feet of a school, take the assets that these drug dealers have, forfeit them, take them over, give them back to the police to fight the drug people. They won't do that bill. Do life imprisonment without parole for anybody who's guilty of a murder. Make the penalties for drug crimes tougher. They won't do any of them. They won't do any of them, but we'll get them done. We'll bring them back to do them if they have to, because you can't tell the people of this city and state, yeah, you're at war, yeah, it's an awful problem, but we've got to go to vacation, and we've got no time to do the drug bill. So we'll do all of that. But now, but then having done that, you're not going to solve the problem. After all the law enforcement, after all the tough laws, after all the new judges, after all the prison cells, You will not stop the drug problem by threatening people with prison. You'll slow it down, and you must do it, and we will do it, and we'll do it better than anybody. We'll be as tough and tough. We will have strength with reason, always with reason, but we will be strong, stronger than anybody in the state. The real answer, long range. And a lot of you people here know it, because some of you people I know you, and I know the problems you've had. And you can tell the rest of the world firsthand that until you get people to stop taking the drugs, to stop wanting to take the drugs, until you get people to stop the demand for drugs, you'll never solve the problem. That the way to solve this problem is to educate people to how evil drugs are, to persuade people that there are easier and better ways to make a living and to live in this society, to tell people, especially our young people, how evil drugs are, how ruinous they are, and how easy the alternatives are, to surround people with love and support and other opportunities, to show them that you don't have to go on the streets and sell crack to make it, that there's another way, that it is worth staying in school, it's worth getting your degree, we can get you a good job, we can get you a good life. The best thing you can do for drugs is educate people. Now, how do you educate them? Educate them in the schools, for sure, and we're going to do that. We have another bill that they haven't passed yet that says you got to require every school to teach every child about drugs. Require them. Every school, every public school in the state is going to be required to teach children about drugs. But you have to do more. You have to use everything you have, every priest, every rabbi, every nun, every good person in every neighborhood, in every community. You've got to get them all delivering the same message. Today we come here because one group of New Yorkers, one very special group of New Yorkers, has heard this message and has said, Governor, you're right, and all of you people who are saying this, you're right, and we're going to help you as volunteers. We do this for a living. We make money from it. We're very good at it. We can sell this product for big bucks, but we want to help you. We want to prove that this city and state that have been so good to us, we're going to be good to them. The name of that outfit is AMNI. Craig Hurd, whom you just heard, is, no pun intended, is the principal of that company. I'm here to say to him thank you and to congratulate him, not just for the billboards and the signs he's going to show you now, and there are going to be 2,300 billboards, and I don't know how many other signs, how many signs in buses? 2,000 buses. Not just for that, but, and that's very valuable, as you'll see in a minute, but for setting an example for all the business people, all the good people of the city and state of New York, that we all have to contribute. This message that he's giving you, we have to deliver on television, on radio, in the schools, at home, in the streets, in the summer programs, in our living rooms, in our supermarkets, every chance we get. We have to remind people of the evil of drugs, and we have to encourage them not to take them. So I say to everybody that can hear me in the city and in the state, this is a war, and it's a war you can't afford to lose, and you are losing it. And the only way to win it is to approach it the way you would any other war. You've got to throw all the law enforcement you can. I'll tell you another thing you need to do in this city, and we'll be talking about it more in the weeks ahead. I've said it once, but I didn't say it as loudly as I'm going to be saying it in the next 6, 7 weeks, and I'll be very precise about it. You need more of everything. More prisons, we gave you yesterday. More probation, more parole, more drug treatment programs. More drug treatment programs. I called for 5,500 treatment beds. I called for 5,500 treatment beds in January. You'll get that. Last night we announced that of the new prison population of 6,000, 2,100 of those are going to be drug treatment beds, because there's no point in locking people up who are addicted, letting them out addicted, so they go back to the streets to commit the same crime for the same reason. That's 2,100 more treatment beds. We have to do all of that. We have to do more courtrooms. We're working on that right now. We have a program, more judges. We're working on that. You need more police. The police are undermanned. You need more police on the streets where you can see them. They have fewer police on the streets now than they had 6, 7 years ago. And 6, 7 years ago, there was nothing like today's problem. I think you need at least 5 5,000 more police on the streets. And I'm saying this as governor. I think we have to make a commitment to putting at least 5,000 more police on the streets and finding the money to do it. And you're going to be hearing more on that in a little while. We'll do all of that. But the answer long-term is what Craig Hurd is doing. The answer long-term is what Julio Martinez is doing. The answer long-term is the treatment programs, the education, supporting one another, giving people a chance to be educated, like I was given a chance to be educated, free. I never paid for high school. I never paid for college. I never paid for law school. Everything I got was free, and I'll tell you a secret. If it hadn't been free, I never would have made it. I never would have been able to go to college, and I wouldn't have been able to go to law school. We're going to have to provide that, and we're going to have to do what Craig Hurd is leading us in doing today. Deliver the message every way you can. Every politician, every ordinary system, say no to drugs. And now I hope Craig Hurd is going to show us how he's going to do it with 2,300 billboards. Craig? All right.
I don't know if you can see this, but it's a for you in the back. It's a picture of a little girl with tears running down her face, and the message is, "Daddy did drugs and died. I'm mad he left me alone." And the message is, we all love our children and they love us. And while you may be messing with drugs and may die, you've left a terrible crisis behind you. So if it's not just for yourself that you're thinking about kicking the habit, kick it for the friends and neighbors, the families, the little girls and boys. And now we'll unveil the second poster. The message we leave you with today is the governor does love you. We all do. And you all make up the neighborhoods and the families that make this city great. So help others kick the habit. Thank you.
Over?